In reality, to protect anything, you will be able to protect anything only if you know its value. We often see that the human being may fail in his duty, but all the other species, their life is so connected with their function. They do not have the option also to fail in their duty.
Hi, welcome to Casey Talks. In the last podcast on cow that we had with Vishwadhiraja Teertha Swamy, he told us a beautiful narration that from time immemorial, or from at least, from the history of kings and emperors, there should be some reason why they would have revered cow and the culture was centered in and around cow. There should be some logic. And then he ended the podcast saying that Krishna spent a significant amount of time of his prime age, from age 4 to age 11, grazing cows. So let us get deep diving into the concept of cow grazing and understand in principle why Krishna grazed cows for 7 long years. Hare Rama Swamiji.
Hare Ram.
Yeah, though I wasn't satisfied with an answer of why cow is supposed to be revered or why cow sustains life. But then you logically gave me through good analogies, and you ended up by saying that Krishna, somebody who spoke Bhagavad Gita, somebody we revere him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has spent his prime age dedicating it on grazing cows rather than going and killing Kamsa and rescuing his own parents. So that one point is very interesting, that if you have your parents are in danger or you have to do a podcast, what would you choose? You would of course choose to go and attend to your parents, right? But then Krishna did not attend to his parents. But he attended to a lot of other things in Vrindavan and Gokul, killing demons. What we know is that. But then you gave us a new perspective that he was grazing cows and he was cultivating people, and, like what all he told in Bhagavad Gita to get Arjuna into the right mode. So he did the same thing with the Gopas, with Balarama. So I hope my understanding is right. So we'll...
Precisely.
Precisely.
That I think to see that consistency is very important.
Yes. So I've covered what we spoke, but then it was very logical, your things seem to me very logical. Now tell us very straightly, what is that benefits our sustenance? What is it that the earth get benefits of cow grazing, and why Krishna choose to graze cows?
Like you said, we had already started describing this. And to truly appreciate how the activities of Krishna compensated for not attending to his parents who are in trouble. Because to really be able to understand that, we need to fully understand what is it that Krishna did during his stay in Vrindavan. He tended to cows, yes, but along with that, he did a major cleansing that most of us have not heard of. But Harivamsha, the Bhagavata and the Mahabharata mentions them to us.
Cleansing of what?
That's I'm about to describe that. That you see, like Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin. There are two kinds of beings. One is the divine and the other is demoniac. The demoniac beings always devise plans to disrupt the universal balance. They reason something like this. You see, we often see that the human being may fail in his duty, but all the other species, their life is so connected with their function that they do not have the option also to fail in their duty. But the demons had got a grand plan that, see, usually they would try to disrupt the vyavastha in creation by attacking the devas, and so on. But they thought this time of an attack at a totally different level, wherein they are not really required to attack the devas, but they, in spirit, would enter into the various species who are rendering their functions perfectly.
Okay.
See, whether a soldier, a human being, whether he'll play the coward or not, you don't see the other species of life failing in what they do.
Is it so?
Yes. The monkey does what it does, the tiger does what it does, the deer
But they
does
fail
what it
in
does.
that, no?
They might try and fail, but they They don't just withdraw.
Humans do withdraw?
Humans play the coward. The soldier he's a soldier. What is expected from him is that he will fight without cowardice. How many soldiers out of cowardice have ran away from battle?
But Arjuna also played a role of cowardice, no?
It was apparently, yes, and that is where he got corrected.
So you mean to say that it is only humans
Yes,
who might
yes,
or who will
yes.
sometimes deviate from what they are asked to do, or what
they are made to do, what they are designed to do.
What they are designed to do. But all the living entities, they don't fail in doing what they are they are made to do.
Because those who are, so to say, lesser than the human beings in their caliber, the other species of life like tigers and lions and deer, so they are tied by nature. They are engaged by nature in such a way that they end up executing their duty by their very presence.
Okay.
The lion is present, it's moving around in that forest, that's enough. It makes the other animals herd. So they have effect and they do their function no matter what. And the beings above human beings, the devas, they have such reverence for God that they never fail in their duty. Bhishasmad vadah pavate bhi. So all these devatas, they are doing their duties out of their reverence for God and they never fail in that.
So the lower beings don't fail and the higher beings don't fail.
It's just the human being who sometimes...
Then how are we any superior than the lower beings?
Well, it's not a question of superior, but yes, the human birth in many Puranas, even in Vishnu Purana, it is mentioned like it's some kind of a hilltop from where you can either it's some kind of a slope. You could either further climb ahead or you could fall down. But the animals, they, in the journey of consciousness, they are only going ahead. They don't fall down.
Oh, is it?
Yes. It's only the human being who could either fall down or go ahead.
It is because we have been given intelligence and it is misuse of our intelligence that we fall down?
Yeah, the human being, you could say that. The human being is held accountable. And he is in charge of his will to perform and to constitute and humbly execute what is expected from him. Or he could want to just manipulate or be destructive.
Swamiji, this in itself is a subject for our podcast.
Really?
That whether humans are really evolved or having a human birth, intelligence is a boon or a bane. We can definitely cover it.
Sure.
But to get into the topic, you said that so the animals were doing their job properly and there is demonic forces.
The demonic agencies, the demonic forces, they made a plan that they will now work to disrupt the universal order, not by attacking the devas, but by entering into the species of life such as insects and worms and trees and plants and cows and donkeys and birds. All of them have got a specific function. I think this is one thing that we need to understand even before going ahead, that every species has a function that constitutes the Jagat Chakra that sustains life.
Tell me a few analogies.
What would you think is the function of a mosquito, for instance?
Mosquito is to suck my blood and
transmit
malaria and dengue.
We are prone to think like that. The moment we see a mosquito, we think, okay, this is there to bite me. The moment we see a scorpion, maybe we see its, what do you call that?
The tail.
The tail. And we think that it's there out to bite us. The moment we see a bull, we think that it is there to actually gore us. So it's a sycophantish kind of a mentality. And that is exactly what Krishna is asking Arjuna to overcome. Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam.
Why the mosquito is not there to bite me?
That's why there's the Vijnana Drishti is that is the basis of yajna, is much different from such opinions that we form out of hridaya daurbalya. So we need to learn to look at God's creation far more deeply.
Swamiji, how is mosquito contributing to anything other than biting me and sucking my blood? You tell me that.
Yes, because the mosquito has its function working on the leaves that fall as litter from the trees. They are there to actually start, there are multiple layers of work that happens on the leaf once it falls from the tree up to the point that it becomes, again, it decomposes and becomes the soil.
Okay.
And the mosquito has its duty as one of those levels in tearing that leaf.
Okay. Oh, so that is why mosquito is made by God. Huh?
If you have its habitat and function in place, it will not come after your blood. You could be staying right at the in the midst of mosquito capital. But the uniqueness about the animals is that when they have their function, they attend to their function. They are
Like
almost
the
as though they are controlled by nature to behave like that.
Mm-hmm. So earthworm's function is to
They
loosen the soil and
to loosen the soil, and the few inches that it loosens every day, that's how it finds its food. So it may not be aware of the greater context or how it is contributing to the greater Jagat Chakra that sustains life, but it is somehow yantra rudhani mayaya, as Krishna mentions, as if run like a machine. It is run by nature to perform its function.
Beautiful narrative. So you mean to say that every living entity, like a blue whale,
Yes.
like a monkey,
Yes.
an elephant,
A monkey, for instance,
huh?
is mostly experienced as nuisance by most people.
Yeah.
And all that most of the estate owners would want to do is to put a bullet in it because of the nuisance that it creates. But little do they realize that it's contributing to the well-being of their real estate, of their estate.
Seriously?
Yes.
How do they do?
Because they contribute to the pruning of the greater trees. Pruning is an act of breaking the branches of a tree, which actually contributes to the well-being of the tree. So the monkeys, they are called plavangamas. They jump from tree to tree at a great height. And even no one would be there to prune these trees at great height. So many trees have to be pruned. And it is so effectively done by the hordes of the monkeys that are jumping from tree to tree.
That's their primary
That
function.
is their primary function. Of course, there are many other functions which are no need to. They would also contribute to some, seeding. They would eat the fruits and throw the seeds around. So these are all side functions. But pruning at that level, that cannot be done by the birds, or it is unique to this species. As
Okay,
they jump around, as they hop around, and as they do all that they do as a herd.
So you're giving us a information or correcting our understanding of the world is that every living entity, including a whale, a dolphin, a penguin, a lion, a cheetah, a bull, is created in this Lord's creation so that
snake.
it can like a snake, like it can contribute to the betterment of, or it can contribute to the sustenance of the earth.
It contributes to the process that sustains life in its own way.
But it is not a way that we look at world.
But that is the vision that the Shastras are teaching. For example, the Nagas, they are the fiber of the universe. They give structural strength to the universe. It is not just the earth. Even on the earth, they live in burrows. And that is why this wisdom is carried forward in cultures in ways that are unimaginable by us. For instance, in the culture in India, at least in the that I know of, that I have known of from the coastal belt, which comprises Udupi, Mangaluru.
South Canada.
There it is believed that to see a Naga it indicates a dosha. I had always wondered, why is it a dosha to see the Nagas? Because the Nagas, they are designed in such a way that they live in burrows, and so they form, the entire universe is standing on a Naga, that. The structural strength to hold the whole universe together is coming from a Naga. So the Nagas that the Vedas mention, they mention that Nagas which are microscopic in dimensions, and they are all around. They're all around the universe. It is not just the big ones that you get to see. And they are all around the universe. They are sakshi to the karmas also to one extent. And also they, like fiber, they are the fiber of the universe, you could say. They are being fiber, they are giving the structural strength of the universe. So they are not to be seen because they live in burrows and holes. So when they are being seen out, that means that is indicative that their habitat has been disturbed. Yes. And their habitat has been disturbed means you are disturbing the universal structure. There is a structure in which every living being can happily live with its habitat and food.
And why is man unhappy with what God has given him?
Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha.
Okay.
The animals, they are part of the entire family, and unless man begins to perceive like that, there is not much hope for man. Like even Einstein said, if the butterflies are gone, it won't be long before the human beings will be gone.
Einstein said that?
Yes.
The butterflies are gone?
If the butterflies are gone, it won't be long before the human beings will be gone.
Beautiful.
So that connectivity, to understand that there is such an interrelation between everything in creation, that vision, I think, is prerequisite to dharma. And the cow, the significance of the cow can be recognized only in that context. So to recognize or understand the significance of the cow, first we need to awaken ourselves.
Understand the significance of every living entity.
And awaken ourselves to this vision. Because despite so much deliberation, ultimately when you look at the scorpion or when you look at the snake today, would you still understand that this is meant to be the fibril structural strength of the universe and be comfortable with it, or would you make a run from here?
Of course we would make a run, no? We need to protect ourselves, isn't it?
Yes, but at least the fear that we let in and the fear out of which we act usually is beyond proportion. And making a run is at least okay, but most people end up killing it.
No, people are now realizing slowly.
Yes.
Rescue snake societies and all.
That's how many of them? It's a very small percentage.
Yes.
The greater percentage of...
No, but definitely, even they do that, they think that they are showing some, what do you call? In Hindi, they called Meharbani. Yeah?
Meharbani kar rahe hain, aisa soch ke karte hain.
What is that word in English? Meharbani.
They're doing some favor.
They are doing some favor by not letting it die.
There's a better word. Yeah.
But then your narration is unique that, that snake there is contributing to the sustaining world.
Yes. In a unique way.
In a unique way that you can't understand.
Yeah. But it is able to do that because of the special presence of God in it, who is enabling it to do that function. And that is how we perceive the presence of God.
So the understanding how, when I see it, what it is like a machine, right? I on a printing press, then it keeps printing. So the printing machine doesn't know what work it is doing. It can print a porn magazine or it can even print Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
So it doesn't in itself has a conscience of discretion to see what
the same could apply. The ant may not know the complex structure of the anthill that it is involved in constructing.
Okay.
As much as an engineer who constructs maybe, which is a complex building.
Burj Khalifa.
Okay, so that engineer, the way he knows his structure, I bet you there are anthills that are more complex than the buildings built by human beings.
Seriously?
Yes. There are documentaries on anthills. You're free to watch them. Today we have that privilege that we can delve into any of these subject matters.
Okay.
But definitely the ant, as far as we know, is not capable of designing such a complex structure.
But it ends up making something.
Like that.
How?
They are guided by a greater force. They are guided by a greater conscience, by a greater consciousness.
So I'm tending to see the world in a new prospective vision, that the animals, whatever they do in the world, there's nothing destructive that they do. It's all constructive.
Yes.
Are you sure about this, what you said?
Even if it is apparently destructive, it contributes in a constructive way to the... Like you could think that a lion devouring a deer is something destructive.
Cow. A lion going and killing a pregnant cow, where it is eating away the fresh calf. Looks very awkward and,
Yes, but in its own capacity, it's contributing.
It's contributing?
Yes. It's designed to do that.
Swamiji, then if a human being goes and slaughters that cow, then why is it not seen in this vision?
Yes, because everyone is required to do their Swadharma.
Okay.
A human being is required to understand this significance of the cow and act in a way befits your intellect. Yeah, the human being is required to act in a way that befits his situation.
Okay, so this particular person who is killing a cow is a very dull-headed person. He is killing cow for his eating. So jivo jivasya jivanam, where a cheetah or a lion or a tiger going and killing a pregnant cow and eating away the calf. Then not every human being is not up to an intelligent mark. So there might be some less intelligent people.
If we are to speak about this in a broader perspective, cows are to be protected by human beings. Okay. And we should not have regular cases of a cheetah coming and preying on cows. Because cows don't inhabit forests. They live in fringe areas. Little in the forest and little on the grasslands. That is the area where the cows graze usually. So they are prone to be attacked there. but the king involved, the entire population is being benefited by these cows. So they in turn have to protect these cows.
Okay. So the Swadharma of a lion is to eat whatever it wants.
It usually
whenever
eats
it is
these
hungry.
herbivores.
Huh.
It eats these herbivores, and it would usually not resort to, because the lions, they live in deep jungle. The cows don't go to that deep jungle.
But when they don't get good animal there, they might come into the fringe areas too.
We are seeing more cases of that only today because of deforestation and the imbalance that human being has created. But should there be the natural balance in nature, I don't think we would have many lions and tigers preying on
According
cows.
to you, if there is a natural balance, even a mosquito wouldn't come and bite you. No?
And bite you. Yeah, it won't.
Are you sure about this?
Yes, I have experimented it. Anyone can experiment it today.
If you go into a deep jungle, you will not suffer from mosquitoes?
You will not suffer from mosquitoes as long as you don't disturb their habitat. If you have built a habitat for yourself, which is not, they won't, what's the word, like, they won't come into your habitat. As long as their habitat is intact.
So you attack their habitat, then they come because they don't
They
know
don't have a habitat. So now they are on the look for fresh food.
Then your blood becomes their food.
Their food.
So in this way, every living entity contributes to the sustaining of this planet.
Yes.
It is only human beings who live at the cost of every living entity.
Yes. In one way, that should actually put us to shame if we were not contributing in a similar way. Because how can you live in a place where everyone is contributing and just you are not, and you are just meant there for bhoga?
It's a shame, no? Mere shame on our existence, isn't it?
And I think that would be an appropriate use of the word presumptuous. It's too presumptuous to think that I can live at the cost of all these beings.
No, if he gets to understand this, then definitely it is very awkward and
yes, that awkwardness is what is a sign of elevation.
Elevated consciousness.
Yes, you should feel awkward when you do wrong.
Beautiful. So in order to make us understand why grazing is important and significance of cows, you went across telling us the importance of every living entity and its contribution to the sustenance of the earth.
Yes, it's all connected. I don't think we can understand one without the other.
Very nice.
So it's the whole gamut. It's all one complex structure of knowledge.
Very nice. So in this episode, as we went first into the narration of understanding the primary function of some living entities like mosquitoes and scorpions and snakes and like that, now you are actually
coming to the function of the cow.
The function of the cows, that how cows are also.
Yes, and that is why, as the name signifies, as we saw in the previous podcast, that which moves, because its movement is so significant.
It heals the earth, according to you.
It nourishes all other beings. So by its movement, because its movement is so important, we call it a cow. Go. And this go shabda is a very complex term that it carries almost well-known more than 10 meanings.
So like the primary function of mosquito is something, you said of monkeys for pruning, and a snake is to add whatever.
Yes.
Like that, the primary function of a cow is to move on the earth.
Yes, to move and graze in herds.
Graze in herds. That's the primary function of the cow.
Yes. And it's the primary function in the sense, of course, that function leads to a cascade of phenomena that sustains
the
life. It creates food and habitat for other life. So, like you mentioned, political parties before that have made it into a political mudda now. And they speak of protecting the cows. In reality, to protect anything, you will be able to protect anything only if you know its value. And knowing the value of the cow, it would require that you understand that this connection that the cow has with the earth, without which its value can't be known. Only when you know its value, and then when you deploy it in such a way that its value can be realized, I think that would be the definition of protecting the cow.
Very nice, Swamiji. It's a new narration I've never heard. So by covering the primary functions of many living entities, so in that way you covered that every living entity has its own function.
Yes.
So we ended up with saying that the cow has a function.
More than information, I think that has an inspirational aspect, which is
Mm.
more important. That it should actually inspire every human being to find out and execute
what is his
function
primary function
Yes.
in life.
Yes, and that inspirational aspect, I think, is of great relevance today.
Well said. Very well said. Thank you so much. So the next podcast we will do on the primary function of the cow. Thank you, Swamiji. Hare Rama.
Hare.